dear. Right, guys, welcome back to Talk Up. This is episode 3, presented by me, Santa, Arwin the Elf, and obviously Rudolph, also known as Will, Jay, and Jimbo. Today, obviously, it's our Christmas special. If you hadn't guessed, we don't come to work like this. And Jay is going to kick us off with our first awesome topic of the day, which is how you came to your nickname of Arwin the Elf.
I told you just a minute ago.
I know, but I'm not going to edit that in.
Well, it was a toss-up between this one and Legolas. And then there was some other fruity names as well that I couldn't pronounce. So the bell's just ringing. Can you hear that? Wow, that's annoying. So I decided on Arwin as well.
Arwin the Elf.
Arwin the Elf.
Because you only know 2 elf names.
Yeah, pretty much.
So how did you come to Rudolph? Be honest.
It's really reindeer, I know.
It wasn't the red flashy nose, no?
No, this has to come off and I'm just going cockeyed.
I'm melting in this. I should have taken my jumper off before I put this on. But right, guys, so welcome back. If you haven't watched episode 2 or 1 yet, it's available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And if you guys listen to podcasts or anything else, let me know and we'll add it to the list. And please like, subscribe, and tell all your friends. So, Jay, why don't you kick us off with our first topic of the day today?
Well, first topic of the day is this little fella here.
This little fella, what's his elf name?
AFDD.
AFDD. What film's he in?
Pass. But anyway.
You've got to give it a Christmas name. It's the...
After. Yeah, we're going to go with that.
You need help.
I've heard that before.
AFDDs, right. Kick us off with our topic. Why are you bringing AFDDs into the frame today?
Well, pretty much. I'm just interested to see everyone's thoughts on it, especially since we got Jimbo here as well, because you would be one of the people that would be fitting them. So it's just trying to get perspective from you guys, and then basically feedback. You know how you're finding them. Are you using them a lot, or?
I am personally. I'm using them a lot. There's obviously we know the criteria when you got to fit them. I fitted one myself just to give it a go in a domestic premises. Didn't really need it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to give it a go. But yeah, I think it's going to be, well, I think we all know in the future it's going to be something we're going to be fitting like RCBOs constantly.
Do you know they already have to do that in America? They call them AFCIs or something. They're mandatory on all circuits.
Are they actually?
Yeah. And they actually, you know how we don't have a tester over here that can test them apparently.
Okay.
They do.
Oh.
So there's an AFDD tester. I don't know who makes it.
Yeah.
I'll try and dig it out and put in the show notes. But yeah, there's an AFDD tester that the Yanks have been using for however long, because they've been fitting them on circuits for ages. So the Germans introduced it in 2016.
Right.
But apparently they're talking about removing them.
What was the reason for that?
It's just hearsay. I'm not quite sure what's going on. But I think, so this time of year, I think is a perfect time of year to talk about AFDDs, because the biggest culprit for making them nuisance trip is extension leads, and never are extension leads used more than at Christmas time with everyone's lights. So, yeah.
But then we were talking about it previously. I was saying, what were your thoughts on it, Will?
I think they're a round peg in a square hole for the UK market.
Right.
I've always said that.
Okay, elaborate on that.
Because, again, they wanted to do something, I think, and again, I'm speculating, so don't come after me, Mr. IET, because of what happened to Grenfell. Because that apparently was down to an electrical fire or something to do with a fridge freezer or something like that. Okay. Which, again, with the greatest respect, if you dig into Grenfell, there's a lot more to it than that, and someone should be in prison. But there you go. AFDDs were then the only kind of measure that was recommended that could potentially stop something like that happening. But they took it from the European market. So the standards we use are pretty much the same for our BSEN standards of the AFDD. But in Europe, they only use radial circuits. So they're better suited to a radial circuit, just by nature. Radial circuits are slightly cleaner in my experience. I know everyone's going to jump at me at that. A lot of people like rings. A lot of people like radials. I think it's personal preference. I'm personally a radial fan, says the guy who doesn't fit many.
For me, I just fit radials now.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way forward. Easier to test, easier to...
fault find and everything else. Yeah. But AFDDs are far more effective on a radial circuit than they ever will be on a ring.
Okay.
And, I just think as a retrofit aspect to the market, I just don't think they're a great solution to electrical safety. They're a good product, don't get me wrong, and they do work. But most work. There's obviously some people have had recalls and everything else on there. Some people have loads of problems with their AFDDs. You can roll your eyes. That's it. James is off. I
got into that.
But yeah, so I don't think they'll replace RCBOs because I don't think they're set up to do it.
Right.
Personally.
James, quick question. With the AFDDs, you said that you've fitted a couple.
Yeah.
Have you ever, so in terms of the domestic installations, have you ever recommended it to any customers?
Not really, no. I've never recommended. Like, it's using your engineering judgment as well. Like, I think E5 talking about it. If you're working in someone's house who's disabled or bedbound,
okay,
I think you should consider it.
Definitely,
to stop a house fire, even though it's not stating that in the regs. Just using your head a little bit. If they can't get out of bed, and that can stop a fire happening, I would recommend one definitely then to fit one. But other than that, no, I haven't really recommended one.
See, I would suggest them on circuits, high load circuits with permanent loads, like a kitchen ring, for example, right? Because when you've got things like fridge freezers that are constantly on, and I think that's what they said Grenfell came down to, is a dodgy fridge freezer or something like that. It's got to be something with a big load that's creating an arc. Now, don't forget an arc, right? Just a small arc fault can generate up to 6,000 centigrades worth of heat. That is a huge amount of heat. And especially with most, houses being timber frame with plasterboard now, there's not a lot of heat and it needs generated for a long period of time to create a fire. So something like that would pick it up for sure. The other issue with AFDDs is not all AFDDs are made the same. That's a problem. So the PCBs they use, the term, everything, right? So they don't all do as advertised, and some create nuisance tripping. There's a big problem with that at the beginning with certain brands. Had loads of nuisance tripping issues, and it's just some have had to ratchet their devices down so far that sometimes they don't trip. Yeah. So what's the point? Yeah. So I think there needs to be a little bit more. If we're going to go down this road as a more permanent solution, there needs to be more thought put into it for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, the testing, but we don't test any breakers now as such, do we? Like MCBs. And I've been watching the David Seaver. He's done a lot of videos on AFDDs, and
he's the AFDD king at it.
Yeah, it does open your mind a little bit, and watching him like test them, just
he tested one of ours. I'm glad to say worked absolutely perfect. Thanks, Dave.
But no, I think if you want to learn a bit more about AFDDs, it's definitely worth watching some of them. He goes in depth, and you can see how they work as well. With the arcs and what arcs it can take to trip them as well.
Yeah, and sometimes again, until you see an arc, like a real arc, like a lot of people think, when you see a little arc behind a switch, when you see a little spark, or when you put a plug into a socket or like an extension lead, and it gives you a little spark. Okay, that's not really an arc as such. It isn't in its kind of purest form. There's obviously a current jumping an oxide gap, but when you have an arc going through a 2.5 cable, bit of twin and earth, and actually see it jump on a snag bit of cable, that the light goes blue and the heat is insane. So if you have that permanently coming through, so it's going like that there's a fire there waiting to happen. So there is a place for it, and especially on a radial circuit. But I think as a retrofit to throw on every single 32 amp ring main, I think it's overkill.
Am I right in saying as well they only trip above 2.5 amps?
That's a great question.
I can't remember what. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere, but it only trips at above a certain ampage.
I'm not entirely sure on that, but I do know, because it doesn't measure the current flow, it measures the waveform on the circuit. Right. So it's completely different. So it basically what happens is an arc will distort that waveform. Okay, so when it gets distorted past a certain parameter, that's when it trips. So that's how I'm not sure about amperage on it, because I think it's more to do with the actual waveform itself. Some might calculate theirs based on amperage, but they're all different because they've got different PCBs in them. So, but yeah, I mean, essentially, again, a lot of it also I think comes down to is landlords maintaining and property owners maintaining the electrical structure of their homes. Which I think, again, landlords have had troubles with, hence why they brought in the situation with the EICRs. Properties requiring an EICR before you can let them back out. So, I think there's a lot of work to do rather than just throw an AFDD at it.
And obviously the biggest thing at the minute is cost as well.
Yeah, but it's about 100 quid a pop.
Yeah, so it's not easy just go, we'll just do a fully load AFDD board either. It's going to cost like $1,000.
Well, you've noticed, haven't you? Because you did some numbers on our sales figures of AFDDs.
Yeah. So, just looking at the sales figures, predominantly the sales were more for projects. So when we saw massive spikes in AFDD sales, it was just for project work. In terms of just standard day-to-day domestic, it's quite low. So when the amendment initially came in, what we made sure we did was we had a par load of stock. And then there was quite a few wholesalers that initially took them. And then I remember 3 to 6 months later, I was getting calls from wholesalers going, Jay, you know these AFDDs? Yeah. How do you feel about cleanse? What do you mean? Well, no one's really buying them, and it's just a waste of space on my shelf. I can buy more RCBLs, which is true. So my question, though, is, in terms of the next amendment, next regulation, do you reckon AFDDs will become mandatory?
Well, they're recommended, which based on the change in definition of the regs now means you should fit them.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to fit them anyway on any circuit that feeds into a 13 amp socket.
Yeah.
So if you've got a socket outlet on that circuit, you're supposed to, it's recommended that you use an AFDD. But like James is saying, that's adding a couple $100 to every board then, isn't it?
You're just not going to do that. You're going to lose out on every job if you're going to I'm only going to fit AFDDs. It's just, you're never going to win a job.
No. And then, but again, you can see that it is the product that people are shopping around for, because the customers where we're not getting, that are buying more of them, that aren't getting projects on them, are also sell online, like Alert Electrical.
Yeah.
So Alert are probably one of our bigger sellers of AFDDs, but they're also, it's because they've got a very aggressive price online. So people are obviously looking at that, like, because that could win or lose someone a job. Extra 6, 7, 8 quid on an AFDD between brands. So it is the product that when they're having to fit it, also I think shifts what board they use it to, which shows you that the price is a big issue for it, in my opinion. But it's going to be £100 for a single device.
Yeah.
I mean, RCBOs were never that price when they first came out. Maybe Schneider's.
So you reckon the price will go down soon?
It has to eventually, doesn't it?
It does, but it'll only go down if the economies of scale go up. So, like, there's only 2 ways you can make that cheaper. One is make it cheaper, i.e. rip the quality of all the components out of it, and then you've got a whole different problem. And then you're actually still overpaying for what you're putting in. Or 2, it does get put into the regs, it does become a mandatory situation, and then the economies of scale of it grow up and obviously get a lot bigger, and therefore components and everything else become more readily available. You're putting larger production runs on, which brings your costs right down. So 1 or 2 things will happen. Someone in the market will put out an inferior product, which brings the overall cost down, and then everyone has to try and find a way of doing it. And then the only way you do that is you reduce the standard of the product, which I think might have happened on the continent. Or it becomes a mandatory situation. Like all those projects you mentioned are usually the councils that we're working with, the housing associations, because it's government money. But when it's private money, they're not going to spend that.
No.
So I also think it's going to make the price of everything as well, especially moving over to AFDDs, if they do become mandatory. I think it's dangerous because of the cost of it. People won't do electrical maintenance on their boards and stuff and upgrade things because they'll have to put them in. And all of a sudden, you're going to have a lot of people, especially think about elderly people on pensions and things like that. They're going to have an electrician come around. Oh, I can put this socket in, but I've got to change your board. Yeah. I've got to put these AFDDs in. They're like, how much is that? A couple £100. Well, my grandfather couldn't afford that. So, they're not going to do it. So they'll opt for not having their stuff upgraded. And if that happens, then you're actually reducing the electrical safety and competence of people's homes. So again, I think there needs to be a lot more work done around it. I think more thought needs to go behind AFDDs and the way the IET introduce it. And I'm not quite sure what we can do as manufacturers at this point. I don't know, especially at Verso, I'm not quite sure what we could do to help or reduce it, because we literally sell it for pretty much no money anyway. When I say no money, I mean no profit, just because it's like in our world, it's the twin socket of our range, really. We make very little on it because people buy it infrequently, but they buy it when they need it. They don't buy it because they want to. So, yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting, though.
Mm-hmm. James, so AFDD, let's just assume we get this mass economies of scale and the price drops down significantly. Would you then recommend it to customers?
Yeah, I think so. If it's a better protective device, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you make that property safer if you could? It all depends on the customer. I mean, if someone you can tell is struggling a little bit, then you're going to give them the best price you can. Maybe go for a, lesser brand or whatever. But yeah, if you know the customer is doing a full house refurb, they're going to be, it's their forever home, then definitely recommend them.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So final thoughts on AFDDs. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm like this.
I think they're good. Like if it does the job and stops fires,
The product's fantastic. I just think the implementation of it is. I think there just needs to be more thought about it. There's so much else we can do to make homes safer for people, and so much more the IET could look at and clamp down on certain landlords, housing developers, and things like that before going down this road, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if it saves someone's life, then it's been worth it.
Oh, 100%.
If it stopped a fire in a house.
And they will stop fires. 100%.
Fair play. Right, moving forward. Next one, favourite tools.
Ooh, do you want me to go first on this one?
I think you're probably more qualified. Yeah.
Where do I start? I love tools. That's so sad, isn't it? I know it
Just
is.
a bit.
But, tell you what I've just bought recently, and I said I was never going to get into it, but I have. It's the Milwaukee pack-out stuff.
I've seen that on your socials.
And I got to say, it is.
Okay, so why did you say you'd never get into it? Is it because everyone was on it?
Yes, and the price. It is very...
It's well expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is really expensive, but when you got it, you're like, okay, I understand.
I've made it.
Now you can tell why it's worth that money, and everything just clicks in nice, and everything's organised. I don't know. It's like my dream of tools. Like, so it is like good, and they got such a massive range of what you can fix in your trays and boxes, and you can just. But what is dangerous, I found. Right, I'm only going to spend £100 on these now.
Yeah.
And then like 3 weeks later, you forget about that. I'll just buy these now. Another 3 things. Like, you're slowly building up. So, but I have to say, at the moment, they are my favourite tool as such. But
we need to start designing pack-out kits. Sounds like there's money in it.
All right, second favourite then.
Ooh, I think it just has to be hand tools, like from a range, like snips and whatever. Just, I don't know. I love loads of tools. I just can't. Like even this, what we're going to show you, this Wiha torque screwdriver set. I had that recently, and I love it. I only use it on special occasions or when I am doing like a board or something. You know.
Well, to be fair, the guys from Wiha, thank you, got in touch with the podcast as our first sponsor. But also, they've given us a bunch of stuff to give away.
What's in Santa's sack?
What's in Santa's sack? That's good. So, which we'll go into it a little bit later. But I suppose they're also my favourite tool because we use them here. So as a tool, they're probably... Well, to be fair, my favourite tool is probably a hammer.
Smash things up.
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes I just like walking around with one. Like
As you do.
Well, yeah, I got to work with you lot. So, no, all jokes aside, the Wiha stuff's awesome. So we've had some... So we do a lot of assembly here, right? And we've gone through all different types of torque screwdriver sets, and I'm really funny about torque settings. We did a big thing about torque settings and everything else, hence another reason why I called the podcast Torque Up. But we've gone through Halper, we've gone through Draper, we've gone through and in the end I spent the money and got the Wiha sets. Unfortunately, Wiha, it'd have been great if you could have got in touch before we'd spent a load of money on your stuff. But yeah, and to be fair, guys love them. They work really well, nice and easy to use. I mean, the sets are awesome. This is a 14-piece set. I think we've got a 19-piece. But yeah, but we'll go into that a little bit more later. So that will probably be my favourite tool for the warehouse, apart from obviously my hammer.
Yeah.
Mate, you can do all sorts of hammer. I can put racking together. I can deal with late payers. I can deal with HR issues. There's so much you can do with a hammer.
Oh my god! Right, let's move on.
Jay, you don't even own a tool.
That's it. I was going
Do
to
you
say,
even have a toolbox in your house?
No, I just borrow your stuff.
No, you don't.
No, I don't have any tools.
When you say borrow my stuff, you mean?
Yeah,
can you come
here?
Yeah, so I'll probably go for this place is the Wiha set, and then my hammer, and then for your house, probably
Holy War.
Hey?
Holy War.
Holy War. Yeah. You know, this guy can't even put flat pack furniture together.
True story.
No?
I kid you not. Mate, I kid you not.
Well, if it's IKEA, I agree. It's a nightmare for an IKEA.
Mate, I just see the paperwork and I think, nah, this isn't for me. Well,
I tell you another tool. Like I was shocked.
Yeah.
I put some IKEA furniture together not so long back, and they had these nail holders. I was like, do you know, that's actually quite good. It saves you smashing your
the little
finger.
black ones. See, and that's where your hammer comes in.
Yeah.
Right, here he is.
You got to keep your trusty hammer.
That's going to the tool bag.
I tell you what I've got. I've got an unprecedented amount of the Allen keys that come in the...
the IKEA bags,
it's the same Allen key, though. So I haven't actually collected a set of Allen keys. I've got the same freaking Allen key about 100 times.
Yeah, I got loads of like if you buy wardrobes, you get loads of the pins you got to print. I'm not putting all of them in. I put a couple in.
Jay had when we used to have our apartment up here, and Jay used to have this. We got chest of drawers when we first moved in. There was no furniture. So I got my set of chest of drawers, right, with my hammer. Right, put this in together in 15 minutes. Right, an hour and 40 minutes later, my guy is still like. So you're right there, Jay? Yeah. Bodged it together. But a week later, I said, Jay, what? Why's your chest of drawers on a piss? I don't know, mate.
It was bad.
Got me a faulty one.
Bad.
You know, they get like a little MDF board that comes in the back of it to like hold the frame. My guy didn't even put it in. I was like, why not? Is there too many nails?
Thought I'd try something different. It didn't work.
So a leaning tower of literal chest of drawers. So he got a new place now, quite a nice place now.
Yeah.
Right? And buys himself a chest of drawers. Puts half it together himself, puts the drawers all together wrong, has to bring it in so Brian here, he's been fixing his drawers, he's taking it all apart and together. You are absolutely hopeless at any form of DIY. Fair play.
So there we are.
There we are. Yeah. So your favourite tool is someone else. Well, there you go.
Yeah. And then the next question, favourite competitor?
Favourite competitor?
Yeah, so this is more myself and you. Unless, James, you've got a competitor that you go up against.
What about your favourite social media competitor?
Oh, that's a good question, actually.
I haven't really got any competitors. I got people who's blocked me, which I don't know.
To be fair, I got quite a good friend who texted me after we did our first show. Said, "Oh yeah, he's blocked on all my socials."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I would annoy people, but
that's what I asked. But
I'd like to know. I'd like to I haven't got anything against anyone, so I'd like to know what people don't like about me, if that makes sense.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
It's good. It's good. People tell you why they like you, but you never know why they don't like you.
See, that must be because you're quite a nice chap. Most people tell me exactly why they don't like me.
No, it's true.
I'm happy for criticism, so if you have got me blocked, message in.
Jump in the comments. All right, why have you blocked Jimbo? With a whole episode on it. Yeah, so you got no social media competitors?
No, not really.
You stand alone, do you?
No, I don't see them as competitors. You know, we're just all doing the same stuff.
Okay, so who's your favourite social media spot that you follow? So if you could only watch one account, okay, which one would it be?
That's a good question, because I watch different people for different, like either entertainment or...
Okay, so top three. So one for entertainment,
That'd
one
be,
for like...
entertainment, OY Electrical.
Yeah.
Okay. Knowledge,
either E5 or David Savory. And then... Why else do we watch it? I don't know.
I don't know.
background.
No, I'd say, to be fair, they're the only two I'm watching at the moment with time. I used to watch a lot of them, but with time, if I wanted to sit down and watch them, they'd be the first two I'd go to.
Yeah.
Or if like David Savory's video pops up, I'm straight on it. Do you know what I mean? Or Corey's or whatever. So yeah.
I like Residual Currents. He's back on it big time now.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed he's back now. So I need to watch some of his.
Again, his production quality has always been really good. But some of his, like, even when he is explaining certain videos, I think he's awesome. To be fair, he's done an awesome load of work. I like Nick. Ryan always makes me laugh. His TikTok kills me. You see the other day he put diesel petrol in his diesel van. Just see Casper sat there like, you know you messed up. It kills me.
Fair play to Nick as well. Like, he's been doing it years now.
Yeah.
Consistently. Like, people don't realise how hard it is to do consistently, and he's been
he pumps it out
of the park.
Yeah.
He's got a good following, hasn't he?
Well, and congratulations, Nick. On we sent you some stuff for your giveaway. You've done your 100,000 subscribers, and Ryan got his 100,000 on Instagram, wasn't it?
Yes.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Well done, guys. Yeah, but they are at it all the time. To be
That's
fair.
mad numbers when you actually think about it. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because we were talking about YouTube numbers and that yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And because we're looking at certain things, certain product reviews and stuff, which we had a chuckle to, and then we stumbled on eFix's site because they've got like 600. How many?
632,000.
Oh, that's another one I watch. I will say.
632,000 subscribers.
Is that how many they got?
Yeah.
For electrical.
Yeah, but then you look at it and their view count on a lot of their videos like 5, 6, 7,000. You fire over to Corey's, for example, or you fire over to Nick's or Ryan, and you're like, like I think Nick did Nick have one up at the time? It'd been up a day, or no, less than 20 hours.
Yeah.
Like 40,000 views. Yeah. The one Corey put up, because Corey's on 98,000 now. One Corey put up with our RAFDD, that did like 40 or 50,000 in like 2 days, 3 days, or whatever. So the subscriber numbers don't seem to always correlate with the views.
Why? I suppose like eFix, because it's learning, people just subscribe to that in case they have a video that's applicable to them.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they do such a varied learning, like a lot of the things might not.
But do you think there's 632,000 electricians in the UK?
Yeah, watching videos. I don't know. That's a lot of numbers.
That's a lot. I mean, that's
for electrical. Like.
That's over 500,000. Like, do you think there's over 500,000 electricians?
Could be international as well.
Yeah, I suppose. Because I know Artisan, a lot of his stuff is American, and a lot of Americans watch his channel and stuff. Yeah,
but I know like eFix as well. They do some stuff towards the client as well, don't they? I've noticed some videos.
Oh yeah, they do. They start like a renewable side of things.
Yeah,
and bits and bobs there.
Yeah, so it could be something to do with that as well.
Yeah, maybe. I've got no. I'm not quite clearly not a social media expert. Look at our numbers. but yeah, I've never kind of. But then we've always done like good views, like 5, 6. We did like similar sort of 5, 6, 7,000 views on some of our like how to and need to know videos and stuff. And we've got 1,500 subscribers or whatever it is. So I just don't know how the subscriber situation really affects. I mean, obviously it does have an impact on it, but
I notice shorts do a lot. Like if I upload a YouTube short, and it does well, you get a lot of subscribers, but that can affect your long form content because people
I've noticed
are
that since we've started posting all the shorts for this on the on our YouTube, the numbers have just gone through the floor on all the other videos. It's like it stopped recommending them. So I don't know if it thinks we've flipped the channel to like a short channel.
It's changed the algorithm.
It's completely. Yeah,
I think it's more to people either watch shorts or long form, and
that's what I mean. So I think YouTube, when you start doing more of one content than another, will stop recommending your channel to people who watch longer form and start to shorts, or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? I think that could be part of it.
So with the shorts or long videos, which ones do you tend to have more success with?
Shorts.
Yeah,
just it's easier production value for me. Like you said, long form. If you're gonna make long form, you got to make it good for people to sit there and watch it for 20 minutes. With shorts,
that's where I'm going wrong.
But like a short, you can make that good because it's only like 20 seconds long. So I have more success with shorts because I don't have the facilities to make such good long form content.
But do you think it's the demographic? Like there's a difference in those that watch shorts than those that watch the long form content?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You can actually see it because I know on YouTube it definitely is. But I think actually if you look at social media in a whole, because different platforms seem to, if you check the analytics, attract different age groups.
Yeah.
And I do think content that they consume is different.
Yeah.
Because like TikTok seems to be everyone from birth until about like high 20s.
Yeah.
Right. Instagram seems to be 25 to 40. YouTube seems to be 30 plus. And then Facebook is everyone else. And yeah. But yeah. So your favorite ones, what were they again? Sorry.
So we'll go with Corey, David Savory, and we'll go eFix as well.
Go
just
eFix.
The learning value of it.
Go on then. So what are your favorite 3 favorite socials? I know it's not competitors, but we'll get back to that.
I do like the eFix stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is quite informative. I've done a few of their CPDs as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it is quite interesting. Oi Electrical, I agree with you on that one for entertainment value.
Yeah, I like cool
I do like the Ryan Davis stuff as well, actually. Yeah.
So my 3 would be... Oh, that's tough 3. Because I do love Davo.
Yeah.
But I think... I watch Nick's content more often. Ryan, I love his stuff. Corey, like I said on the last show, if Corey doesn't get approached by the BBC, right, it's criminal. I think Corey stuff's awesome, and he thinks about it so much as well when he puts so much into it. They're my 3 when I get the time, which is very rarely. But yeah, they're my 3. But what's your favourite competitor? Which is your initial question. Who's your favourite competitor? Now, last time, you said someone.
Mate, I'm sticking to my guns here.
But why?
Because it's the truth.
Yeah, but based on what?
I tell you what. The reason why is because of you.
I didn't do anything.
No, you did.
Right, you're an Arsenal fan. You literally turn on me. Now it's my fault that you support Tottenham. Like, that's what you just said to me. Like,
it's not quite the same.
It's exactly the same.
No. When I first started, so it'll be 5 years come February, the first thing you said to do was look at other competitors.
Yeah.
Now, the first recommendation, do you remember who you gave me?
Yeah.
Who was it?
It's Hager.
There we are. So, yeah, and you said to me, look at their website, look at how they brand their products, etc.
I did used to really like how corporate they were.
Exactly that. And I think that was the thing that kind of attracted me to them first. And it's weird as well. It's just even the logo. It just looks really clean. Whereas other brands, I'm not.
So you like them based on a branding perspective rather than anything to do with their product?
Initially, first,
Right,
yes. Okay. And then when I looked at the content, I looked at some of the stuff that they were developing, etc. I was thinking, oh, wow. And then, you know, you can even look at this year's sales. So 2022. So we were talking about it last year. Last podcast, and you were saying 460 mil. Internationally, as a group, guess how much they've done? 2022 sales.
I wouldn't have a clue. I
have a wild guess.
Less than Schneider.
Yes.
2 mil. I don't know.
2 mil. It did 100 million UK, didn't it?
2.4 billion euros, which is probably
Jesus
about
Christ.
£2 billion.
Well, what I'm hearing is you need to get off this podcast and back to work. We've got some work to do.
Yeah,
so they're big billion.
2 billion. But then, I mean, you say that's massive, but then you look at Schneider. Schneider is 37.14 billion in 2022.
That's because the price of their RCBOs. That is insane.
It could well be. It could well be. But yeah, going back to the original point. So yeah, when I saw Hager, I just saw everything that they were doing, what they've got in the pipeline, the innovation. I thought, oh, wow, okay.
See, do you know what I hear when you say that?
Yeah.
You've got a company doing 37 billion.
Schneider, yeah.
And you've got a company doing 2 point something billion.
Yeah.
And their board isn't better than ours. Fact. Schneider Easy 9, I think, is a pig to fit, personally. I have no idea why their RCBO still come with fly leads on them either. And then the Hager board, which has been around for a long time, you talk about innovation side, that it's a solid board, don't get me wrong, but their mini RCBOs, still single pole, not even single pole and switch neutral. I think they've lost loads of market share. If I had 2.2 billion, oh, mate, look at what we did with the peanuts. Nah. So where's that reinvestment go?
I imagine it would be into different markets as well.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, we look at...
But with that infrastructure, you could think of the things you could achieve with that infrastructure.
I fitted both boards, 3-phase and single phase. And I think, for me, if I had to pick one, it would be Schneider.
Yeah.
Based on, with a 3-phase, you just got the clip-in breakers now.
That's fantastic.
That's
on the spot.
I know it's expensive, but...
It is, yeah. So the ISO fix, is that what they call
yes.
it? Yeah.
But coming to install them, like if you've got a massive 3-phase board, it makes it so much cleaner and easier. And
I think it makes it safer as well. I think it's I think they've patented it, because when we looked into it, and we're looking at our 3-phase, we can't get anywhere near it. And just to be honest, the development costs on it are absolutely disgusting. But that's what you do with 37 billion, I suppose.
But then how much time does it actually reduce in comparison to your traditional 3-phase board?
The bigger the board, the more time.
You'll be surprised, and how messy a board can look, a big 3-phase one. If you still had the earth leads on it, still had the neutral leads on it, it makes it so much cleaner. You bring all your conductors down, and it does make the board look 10 times better.
Yeah, and I think it makes it easier from a maintenance perspective as well. Yeah, in all honesty, to go back in and work on it after the fact. Yeah, but Schneider's 3-phase is incredible. Hey, to be fair, Hager's 3-phase is pretty good.
It's decent. I would pick Schneider over it.
Yeah, but there's quite a bit of price difference between the Schneider and the Hager one, though, isn't there?
I'm not too sure,
because the way when I speak to a lot of industrial sparks, it's kind of Schneider up here, then Hager, and then everyone else.
Well, 9 times out of 10, whenever we fit 3-phase boards, requested is a Schneider.
Yeah, they are specified by consultants mostly, aren't they?
Yeah, so that's why they probably fitted the most, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's the same as MK of old with the wiring accessories. That's why you go on any government or any kind of big project or commercial project. It's always MK. It's because it's copy and pasted by the consultant, you know. But yeah, so that's why it's your favourite competitor.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, congratulations, Hager. You've won Jay's support.
What about you, James?
No, he's done it, isn't he? He didn't have any competitors.
Well, but you can have another favourite manufacturer. Apart from Verso, of course.
Yeah.
If we're talking about boards and stuff like that, I think Schneider for 3-phase. Yeah. That's where I fit. So I have to go with them.
Until the spring of 2024.
Subtle hint there.
Yeah. The Easter Bunny's bringing something this year.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about yourself then?
Nope.
Come on, Santa.
Bar humbug. Favorite competitor for which product? Accessories or circuit protection?
Go with accessories.
Yeah, because I won't pick one for circuit protection.
Okay.
Because we're the best. I don't think there's a better single phase board out there. No, I don't. There's definitely not better single phase devices out there.
Okay.
So no. So my favorite competitor is me. That's it. Me versus me.
Great stuff.
The mindset.
That's it. Wiring accessories. I like ours.
Yeah.
I'd probably give the edge to the Solister product.
Who's that?
Hager.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. I took a lot of inspiration from that when we designed the Verso stuff. I do really like the Solister product.
Yeah.
I actually prefer their rockers to ours, which bothers me.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I do. I prefer the fact ours are modular, which is better on the switches.
Yeah.
But I think I like the aesthetics. The terminals are really good. I tell you what I really do like, and not to plug Wiha again, but I found out Wiha actually make the those Hager screwdriver sets.
Oh, do they?
And if you get a Hager screwdriver set, they work perfectly with all the terminals in their products, right? Including obviously their socket stuff, which I think is quite a nice touch.
A lot of people talk about sockets and switches. I could be the only one in this, but I couldn't really care.
Oh, you're not the only one. No,
like,
unfortunately,
do you know what I mean? It's and half the time the customer doesn't really care.
No, the customer doesn't know the difference. It's a white socket, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. And unless they ask for like chrome, but 9 times out of 10 they'll go and pick that themselves.
Yeah. From Screwfix or B&Q or whatever else. Anyway.
I think like design wise, any.
I mean there are some that are definitely harder to use than others because it comes down to terminal size, especially if you're spurring off the socket or things like that.
There is one brand I won't fix. I've just had nightmares with, but I don't know if I can say.
Of course you can.
There's a lap. It's just a nightmare.
Screwfix special.
Yeah,
we know the factory really well. It's a factory called Holder out in Hong Kong.
I didn't like fitting them, so I won't fit them. But any other brand, any.
Yeah.
Including,
I think for me, Solister, a close second would be MK. I just think it's overpriced at this point.
Which line? The MK what?
Logic.
Oh, okay. Not bass?
Cheeky sauce. Have you seen the MK base stuff?
Is that the lever stuff on? No, was that?
No. The MK base stuff is their new budget range, right?
Oh no.
So yeah, the bright spark at our factory, okay, who wanted to work with Honeywell on the wiring accessories, they approached him about working with them, this, that, and the other. Sent him samples of our stuff, which he makes for us. Okay, 2 years ago or whatever it was, 3 years ago. Sent off to them. Then within 18 months, we see the MK base stuff. You have a look at the MK base plate, the face plate, and ours.
What, similar or?
Just a smidge. Fuming. When I spoke to him about it, he was like, "Yeah, sorry, my bad." I said, "Did you working with him?" No. Great effort.
Not.
Yeah, he sent it off to MK Malaysia or something, thinking it wouldn't end up back in the UK. Absolute pillock.
I know, going a bit off topic now. What's your opinion on the rapid fix, the lever connectors MK2? So I fitted a couple. I don't really have an issue with them, but I know a lot of people do.
To be honest, right, when you design product, you're always trying to either get an edge on your competition or fix a problem to make your customer's life easier, right? So if you can do that, you've got a bit of an opportunity, right? So you either make it better and cheaper than your competition, or you just make it slightly intuitive to fix a problem. I think they tried to fix a problem that wasn't there. That's the truth.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
I think the concept of it is nice. Is it neat? Ish, yeah. People are saying it fails the tug test. I've tested it. We bought a box as soon as they come out, obviously, and had a look at it. Did it fail my tug test? Yeah, initially, because I wanted it to.
So
I mean, but when you do a tug test when you get your socket, you put your line in, line out, terminate it down. Yep, it's fine. Yeah. If you grab an MK, was it called Rapid Fix, yeah, and you clip it down, it's not going to come out. Plus, once it's secure and you put it back in the box, I don't think anyone's going to pull on it. I mean, I think they're all right. I don't actually think it's quicker.
What's your thoughts, James? Quicker?
And I think they're expensive. For what
it does.
Because like you were saying, you don't care what you fit. So 9 times out of 10, it's going to come down to a price situation. And I think the
Is it overkill then?
I think it's a bit of a novelty. Do you know what? The only concern I had with it was, I think it makes it, and because it's available through Screwfix, I think it makes it very accessible for the DIY market.
Yeah,
right, okay.
My point, like, I'd like to see a lot of things go to more lever. So I'm assuming, does sockets have torque settings as well?
Yeah.
See, who does that?
Every terminal, every terminal from every manufacturer would have a torque setting.
Yeah, so this is my point. So if it's lever, then we don't have to worry about the torque.
True.
So if everything was lever, we'd never have to worry about torque and how tight it is. That's all done for you. So I'd like to see more things go in that direction. Whether you're saying, like, does it really make a big difference? No. But if everything was lever and technically torque set, less connection failures, I guess.
100%. And again, we talked about arc faults. It reduced things like arc faults from loose connections in the back of things. I completely agree with you. The challenge with everything, I think we touched on it before, would be cost. Because you start putting those sorts of features into a product, the production cost goes up, and people won't pay it, especially on things like switches and sockets. And that's why, I was having an argument with our business partner for the Circuit Protection Factory, because he wants us to drive into smart switches and things like that, and grow the accessory business there. And I was thinking to him, I said to him, never in my life will you tell me it's more convenient to go on my phone to turn the light off as I leave a room than it is to flick the switch as I leave the door. It might be for my kids' rooms because they can't seem to find it and they just leave them on. But
it's more of a novelty thing. I had like they connect to Alexa. In my living room. I used to use them, then it started to break, and I was like, oh, do you know what? Just get rid of that.
So we looked. Funny you should go about the levers, because there was someone that put in, I think on our last episode, asked us, would we consider using like a Wago connector for our RCBOs, and we did. And do you know it already exists? Again in Europe, but you can only do it because obviously the size of your conductors going into the device obviously change depending on the obviously the size of the circuit. You can only get them up to 20 amp. So in Europe they're really popular because again most things are fitted on a radial, so they don't really exceed 20 amp. But here it wouldn't work because everything's on a ring. It's on a 32. So you could have you can do it. Again, the technology is already there to have those up to 20 amps, but then. You've still got the situation with everything else. So I just don't think...
It'd be nice to have an unlimited budget when they're...
Oh, yeah. Right, like 37 billion. Yeah, 37 billion or 2.2 billion.
Lever everything, yeah.
But that's why, when you said, that's the first thing that springs to my mind is, hey, if you reinvested that, you just world dominance. Well, you start with the UK. That'd be incredible. But, there you go. My favourite, well, it's not a competitor, I suppose, would be Wago. So, in fact, I've seen another one. It's Ideal. Have you come across those Ideal? They're like exactly like Wagos, but they're blow. No. Again, guys, if you've used them, they seem to be doing loads of marketing, see them at trade shows. Are they any good? Are they the same? Are they worse? There you go. So what we're going on to next?
Sponsorship.
Again, like I say, thank you to the guys at Wiha for reaching out pretty much after our first episode. And they've kindly given us a Torque screwdriver set, 14 piece. Going to Santa's sack now.
Go sit on the lap.
Sitting on my lap. A flask. A pair of Wiha socks. Now, they're definitely better than certain pink ones I've seen floating around.
I got to fit these. I haven't worn them yet.
Now, this is what we all want at Christmas, right? A Wiha bottle opener. I don't know what the torque setting is on the bottle, but I reckon this can handle it. All right. And then what else we got? That's it from there's a Wiha hoodie that I couldn't fit in the Santa sack as well. It is a size medium. I did check. So if you're not a medium, you can re-gift. So guys, so what we're going to do today, and nice and simple for this giveaway, all you've got to do is make sure you go over to their Instagram page, Wiha's Instagram, follow it, and tag Talk Up on a post that they will be putting up as this show goes live. Okay, so you've got to tag us in it, Talk Up, so we know you followed it, and then obviously you've got to follow us as well, and please subscribe, otherwise it doesn't count. Can you think of any other stipulations for this awesome little Christmas bundle that we're going to give them?
No. Did they get the bag as well?
You can have the bag as well. You can have the Christmas bag. Who donated the Christmas bag?
Print.
It's a stationery company.
Yeah. Can I just make a note on Wiha as well? I really like Wiha stuff. They've sent me a couple of bits. And I looked through their catalogue, and I swear they could be the only brand where you could just use Wiha tools.
Right. I think that's their thing, isn't it? Yeah, tools that work for you. So
in terms of, like, I love, like, Klein stuff, Super Ross, all the different brands, but they don't have everything that you need as an electrician, but I think Wiha actually do.
Well, to be fair, we only use. I mean, we don't do the install stuff you do, but from an assembly, from an assembly point of view, and again, we've gone through torque screwdrivers like you wouldn't believe. The head snap and everything else, like they just don't wear well. But the Wiha stuff's brilliant. To be fair,
thumbs up from the guys in the warehouse.
Yeah, they all use it. They like it. In fact, I remember when we ordered them, they want no more of that bleep. Not going to tell you which brand. Poo, please, and they actually asked for it. So I know a lot of wholesalers stock it as well. So guys, if you're watching, you're a wholesaler, Wiha, what's the feedback from your customers? Again, they seem to be. What other torque screwdriver set is out there that people are using really? That can compete with it?
do one.
Armeg do one, yeah.
I think Wiha do one. But that's all I can think of.
So I used the Wiha one. We had them here, didn't we? And again, I personally, and I'm not just saying this, like I say, I wish they had got in touch before we spent all the money kitting out. Yeah. I don't think they was good. The heads on those snap quite easy as well.
They weren't that bad.
No, they were better than what we'd had previously. Yeah. But again, I just think these are better. They're made in Germany as well, so it's all made in Germany, and then shipped over. German engineering, which is never bad. So it really isn't. So guys, thank you for the guys at Wiha. So guys, remember, go over to their page. There'll be a post on there. Tag us in it. Follow our page, and obviously like and subscribe to the Verso channel. Right, next piece of wonderful impartment of information from Mr. White over there.
This goes out to Rudolph. So
that's me. I've lost a nose now.
Just Dolph.
What is the worst thing you've purchased for work?
Oh my god.
Well, we know it's not a Wiha talk through.
That's it.
That's a hard one. Can you go first? Let me have a think.
Make sure you say the right one.
Which one?
The one with the neons.
No, because that just makes me look like an idiot. Okay, so when we first started the company, got a little bit of traction and got a little going, we had to put a big order in on wiring accessories to the factory. It was my first big whopping order, scared the hell out of me. It was 200 grand. So back then we had to do everything on spreadsheets. And some people might not know I'm quite badly dyslexic. In fact, Janai proofreads all my important emails. It's true. So all you guys taking a piss on sometimes when the shorts are spelt wrong with the captions and, it's me. So going through and I'm ordering, I get down to the spurs. And obviously spurs were a big item that we sell. And I misread it slightly. And rather than ordering, I think the minimum order quantity was 600. I ordered 6,000 unswitched spurs with neons. Now, the problem with that is no one buys unswitched spurs with neons because the neon obviously indicates that the spur is working. And
I didn't even think about that.
And on, but obviously an unswitched spur is always on, so it doesn't need a neon indicator. So I think to date we've sold like 43, and that was 9 years ago. So yeah.
Oh my god!
So there's a very expensive and stupid mistake. And the worst part was I checked that order so many times because it was the first big order we did. And when they arrived, I thought, I think they made a mistake. So I checked the paperwork, realised no, that's the worst thing. So that's the worst thing I've ever bought for work. Yeah, 6,000 unswitched spurs with neons.
I've never done anything that bad. I think mine. That's quite extreme. But I think I've stopped buying cheap tools now. If I'm buying a tool, I'm not just buying a cheap. I'll wait till I save up and get a more expensive tool because the cheap stuff does break. Like I've had cheap fixings trays before.
Yeah,
you get like £5 ones in Watt or whatever. Yeah. Use them once, you drop them on something smashed. Like, what was the point in that? So I think for me it's just tools, probably like bad made tools.
Bad made tools. Yeah. Jay, what's the worst thing you've ever bought? I can think of like 1,000 that you bought for the office where I've looked at you like, what have you done?
Wait, name me one because
mate, right. When I asked you to buy a fridge for the guys in the stores, and you bought that absolutely stupid lime green, well, not lime green, was it like pastel whatever beer fridge? No, you couldn't fit a pint of milk in it. So you couldn't fit milk in it, so they had to get the small. You could fit about 2 cans of Coke in it. That was it, right? That was pretty stupid and cost a fortune.
Yeah, that was bad.
What else have you bought that's stupid? You buy those stupid sticky notes that no one can use because they come out looking like a Christmas
No, that was Brian.
That was Brian, was it? What else have you bought? Well, I've looked at you like, what have you done?
There was one time where I nearly made a really costly mistake.
Right.
But it was due to you screaming at me so loud that didn't happen. So when I first started, there were some products that we were out of. The factory had them finished. And I was like, right, okay, I need to figure out how I can do this. And Andrew at the time...
Yeah, so Andrew's our account manager for a company called Noatum, so he handles all our logistics from China and Spain and everything else.
So Andrew at the time said, look, Jake, if you do it by shipment, it's going to take 30 to 45 days. I'm like, Andrew, I need the product now. He's like, mate, I've got an idea. You can air freight it over. And I said,
wow, you can what?
You can air freight.
Put it on a plane.
You can put it on a plane. So instead of 45 days, it will arrive in about 4 to 5 days max. Okay. So I'm like, all right, Andrew, no problem. Send me over a quote, and then, it should be good to go.
Now, let me pause you there, just to give you an idea. Now, this would have probably come from China, if it's an air freight.
Exactly that,
okay. So I've just come back from China. My plane ticket for just me, and the camera adds £10, but I don't weigh that much like product. Cost me $4,000. Jesus. Now continue.
Yeah. So anyway, again, let me start again by saying I was new to the role, so I didn't know any better. So anyway, he sends over the quote, and I think, oh wow, okay, that's not that bad. Guess how much the quote was? For I think it was about 10 lines. Anyone into shipping knows what I'm talking about now. It's about 2 cubic meters. It's probably about 20 kilograms maximum. So it wasn't that much. But guess how much it was?
Well, from what you just said, I'm going to go for about $7,000.
But it was about 18.
18 grand?
It was about 18 grand. And I remember going to Andrew, and give me 2 seconds, let me call Will and just make sure that's all right. And he goes, all right, mate, just let me know, and then we'll press the button, we'll get it done. So I call Will. I go, Will, these lines are out. I need them air freighted over. And before I even finished, because I said air, and then all I remember hearing was, no.
I was in the car. So that became a joke for a while.
So I was like, so I shouldn't go for it then. No, mate. So long story short, we eventually shipped it via sea. But yeah, that would have been a costly mistake because the problem is as well. So what manufacturers tend to do, or what we used to do, is like you absorb some of that cost into the product. But the fact is, these products that we were actually shipping over, they were low margin product anyway.
Low margin, low value.
Low margin, low value. So it would have just inflated that cost so much. So in essence, every single product that you sent over would have been like an extreme loss.
Yeah, so and the product, if I remember rightly, the product, it wasn't exactly key lines either.
Yeah.
And so it was just one of those like, no, we'll be making carrying an 18 grand loss for
yeah. So
you learned a lot of lessons back then,
mate. That was tough.
Yeah. Well, that first 6 months a bit roughy.
Yeah, it was bad.
We had to have a little little meeting, little chat outside of work. I also learned to become more tempered and diplomatic. In fact, found out that I may have not been the easiest to work for at times.
You were right. No, it was a baptism of fire, but no, I did appreciate it.
So to back to square one then. So the mini fridge, dumb.
Dumb. Really
air freight, you didn't actually do, but could have been very dumb. There's got to be something more stupid than that you bought for work.
No, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Nah,
I haven't done anything crazy that I can think of, because I usually just double check with yourself. If it's a bit extreme in terms of cost, I always go, you know what, let me just double check.
I'm sure you've bought stuff and like expecting it to come in like, is it this big, and it comes in like it's this, and just stuff like that. You don't check things.
No. Oh, there was one.
Go on.
But it's not that I didn't. The worst thing I purchased is the worst thing I didn't purchase.
Go on.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Do you remember there was this project going on? I remember it was me, you, and Paul were dealing with it, and the project was in June. And mate, I forgot to order satin nickel switches.
Right.
Don't you remember?
No, I don't.
I forgot to order the satin nickel switches.
Yeah.
And it was only because you had a great relationship with the factory that they were able to turn it around so quick. Because originally they were saying, yeah, you're out switches. Yeah, it's probably about 70 to 80 days lead time.
Right.
And it was only because you knew Gareth there that you were able to turn it over in 30 days. No, but we ran out 2 gang switches. I'll never forget it. I think it was the 8182 SS's.
Right.
So it wasn't satin nickel. It was
satin steel.
Satin steel.
Yeah.
And you were like, mate, that's one of our major lines.
Yeah.
You have royally beeped up.
Yeah.
So yeah,
He's better now.
Ever so slightly, but yeah, those are my worst ones.
There you go. All right, well, let's move on then. So Jay's buying habits need to be addressed. Good stuff.
Right, next one is funniest moments at work. So it could be on site for yourself. For us, it's obviously at work, but
yeah, I've spoken about it a few times. It's kind of weird / funny. It's like when I was working for Tom in London.
Yeah,
walked into this house and it was like a chair,
with
like real teeth like glued to it.
Wow.
And
for those who haven't seen it, check out his socials. It is so weird.
I'll have to get the pic somewhere, but
I'll send it to me. I'll throw it up on the screen somewhere for those not listening.
If it is yours who's watching, hide the chair next time.
At least brush the teeth, man.
Get a soap on it. Like.
That's it. A bit of mouthwash.
But that was weird / funny. Like it was just what the hell. You just get the job done as quick as possible and get
Quick
out
question
there.
though, right? He wasn't in, right, or she? Teeth person wasn't in. How much more awkward would it have been if teeth person had been there?
Do you reckon you would have actually stayed in, or?
I don't know. I would just kept the tool in my hand the whole time.
Having your cuppa.
Must be a dentist or something. Gotta be.
Yeah, but who takes their work home like that? I mean, don't I take work home, but that's a bit of extreme, isn't it?
Yeah. So
But do you think they did that for like poops and giggles?
I don't know, like
because you said like as soon as you came in, the chair was there. So do you think they were like,
mate, Tooth Fairy would have had a day out.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah, I just can't think of any reason why someone want that unless you've got a fascination over
teeth.
Yeah, but whose teeth?
Yeah,
because if you look at that picture, I mean, the average adult has like 30 to 32 teeth.
Yeah,
there's more than 32 teeth there.
Oh yeah,
so they're not just that person's teeth.
No, there's definitely other people's teeth, unless it's like a family tradition.
collect everyone's tooth.
Oh, it could be.
Well, everyone that died and going back X amount of years is now, it's like a memorial.
Yeah, it could well be. I don't know.
Could have been like a shrine to like a family shrine.
That is bizarre.
I really hope teeth person is watching or listening and can just throw in. Yeah, like why?
Add some clarity to it.
Just do have another funny
situation.
One. Yeah, got another funny one as well. I was on a job. I can't say too much about the job, but I was basically taking something down off the wall, and I asked a question: "Am I supposed to be taking this down?" Yeah, it should be fine. Should be fine. I was like, I don't know if I should be taking this down.
It's always good when I say it should be. That way, if it's not, it's your fault.
Yeah. So I was it's on a main street now, so I took this thing down, and then about a week later, you had nothing of it. Drove past the same place, and there's the company of what it was. I can't say. Yeah. Fixing it, putting another one back up. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no. And I rang the office, and I was like, yeah. Explain the situation. He's like, I'll just go out and explain. And he just was not happy. He was like, why would you take this down? and then he was like speaking on the phone, and he was like, slap a sausage on it and all, just saying these random stuff, and I was like, what is going on? But yeah, that was awkward / like when it was all sorted, it was funny. Like
it's funny when you look back, not funny at the time.
No, I was just like, Ed and Anne's moment, I was like, oh no. But yeah.
Go on, and Jay, what's yours? And be careful, because most people still work here.
Funniest moment at work. Well, can I say the one that I was thinking about earlier? But if I don't mention any names, obviously I can mention your name because you're here.
I was there, yeah.
Right. I don't know if you wouldn't know this story, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think anyone, unless they worked here, knows this story.
So this is 100% factual. This actually did happen, right? So. I think it was a Monday.
It was a Monday.
It was a Monday morning. So myself, William, and another gentleman that used to work here, we're upstairs, right? Just having
we're having a management meeting.
That's it, management meeting. So it was a fairly serious meeting. So we're talking about company direction, where we're going, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, one of the guys in the warehouse walks in. So we're like, oh, you're right, mate. He goes, yeah, just want to let you know that in the next hour or so, I might be getting a lift. So I'm thinking, where's he going? He goes, yeah. I go, so who's picking you up? And he goes, probably the boys in blue. So we're all looking, thinking, what's going on here? He goes, well, let me break it down for you. Someone called my missus a fat slag, so I punched him.
As I dropped her off for work.
As he dropped her off for work. So
she just called me to tell me they're on the phone to the police.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for filling in.
Yeah.
So anyway, myself and the other gentleman that we're here, we are kind of speechless. And what makes it worse is Will then goes, should we hide you?
No, it was the way you stood there, like I didn't know if you wanted us to help and it was just like, so do you want us to hide you or tell? Hear the response.
I can't remember.
He's like, no, it's okay. I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah, that was it.
And then walks down the stairs. And then the three of us are like,
that was it. And
then Jay just lifts his head back, kills me, and goes, "Where do I work?" It's just not. I've never worked anywhere where in a management meeting someone's walked in to notify everyone that they're probably going to get nicked. Yeah, because someone verbally abused their missus outside of work.
Fair play though.
Yeah.
So
it's fine about it.
Again,
just
that
so
was
chilled about.
Well, yeah, he was just so relaxed. He walked out. I reflected and just reevaluated my life choices and
career choices.
Well, this
recruitment choices.
All of that, mate. Yeah. But I think it was similar to your situation where it was awkward at the time, and then now you look back on and you think, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. It could only happen here, though.
Oh yeah, we had loads of stuff like that.
But yeah, go on then. Following up from that, what was yours?
Oh, I don't know. We've had some characters work here.
Yeah,
some absolute characters. My favourite moment was actually like. It's funny. This is disbelief, right? So I took on this lad, right? Nice enough lad. Yeah. Wanted to work his way through. He's like, okay, struggling to get work. I soon found out why. So tried him in the office. Didn't like that. So I want to work in the stores. Good. Let's work your way through. Good idea. So we get an order from one customer. Okay. I said, right, very simple order. There's a couple of cartons of stuff. There you go. Pick it up. Let's say you book it onto the system. Say you book it onto the courier, which I think was DPD at the time. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, no problem. Leave him to it. The order should have taken less than 10 minutes to pick. And it's half hour gone by. And I cannot find him. And then I was like, right, looking. Done it? Yeah, done it. Like, okay. You not come back in for the next order? Oh, no. So didn't even think, okay, there might be something else to do after this. So anyway, okay. And so, right, I'll check your order for you. So, right, okay. So I go out and got the paperwork and look at the box, look at the sticker on the box. And I says to him, what's the problem with this? I don't know. I said, right, here's the paper. So here's a dispatch note. Here's the order from the customer. There's the box with the label on it. What's the problem? And honestly, he's just there scratching his head like, I don't know. He's physically getting stressed. So look, don't panic. No rush. Courier don't get here till 2:30. Right? It's like 10:30 in the morning at this point. Take your time. Right? Give it 10 minutes. If you still can't find it, come back into the office and find me. We'll walk through it. I'm thinking, surely he's got to figure this one out. I mean, my 6-year-old at the time during COVID didn't get it this badly wrong. Like, I'm surely he's going to figure this one out. So, come back out half an hour later, and my guy is still stood with paperwork in hand, looking at his boxes, has not a clue. And I was like, mate, really? So he's got the order from one customer, he's managed to book it to a different customer, and then book it on DPD and stick a label on it to send it to someone completely different. So he's somehow involved 3 customers. But what kills it is the font is huge. So you could physically just read it, right? Let's go into ABC Electrical. Yeah. He's booked it onto DEF Electrical and send it to Janai White Electrical. Like, how have you not? And he just stood there, I haven't got a clue. So right, so then I told him what happened. And then by lunchtime, he came to me, I don't think this is working, is it? I said, no, I don't think it is. No. So yeah, that happened. Yeah, we had a few like that. We've had some.
That's just poor.
Mate, he was just like, it's one of those moments like, how are you not getting this? But fair play. I mean,
at least he was transparent.
Yeah. I mean, we've had, remember Billy? We've had some hilarious moments with Billy. So Billy was a Canadian chap that used to work for us. He was funny with his little stubby thumbs. It was hilarious. But yeah, mostly on nights out, really. Yeah, which again we can't go into, especially with one member of staff don't work here anymore. What a liability! But there you go. So yeah, next.
Right. Next one is Q&A time.
Okay.
So we're gonna go with Ask Jimbo first. So this one is from Jack Wills.
Jack Wills. Is it a hoodie?
Well, it is, but he spelt his J4CKWI11S.
It's like my old like Xbox name or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, anyway, he says, what are your thoughts on online electrical courses and how to get into the trade if you are thinking about a career change?
Online courses for me, I'm like someone who likes to be sat in a class,
Okay.
listening to someone who's telling me what to do, like watching stuff online or whatever. I find quite hard to learn from. Like YouTube videos, you can a bit, but actually being in a classroom with someone teaching you is so much better because you can just ask a question there and then, and stuff like that. So I suppose it depends on the person with online courses. I'm guessing that's what he means anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
But actually getting into the trade, it's a difficult one because the money's a big factor. If you're on X amount and you need that, but you've got to take a pay cut to learn something new, it's hard to get into the trade. If you can afford to take that pay cut, then it's just trying to get your CVs out there and try and show passion. And you want to get into the trade with a company and hopefully they take you on, really. But the pay thing that's what you hear most people struggle with. They can't take that pay cut. They got a house to feed.
Yeah. And I think there is a lot to be said for that as well. But I don't think there's a better way of learning it. Like, because a lot of this trade is passed down from experience. Like, you can sit in a classroom, you can do online courses as much as you like, but unless you're on site, like with the greatest respect, we talked about your DIY prowess. Right?
Yeah.
You could sit and do every single online course physically available, and I wouldn't let you anywhere near my house.
That's fair.
But you're an intelligent guy. If you like mirrored someone for a year, you would pick it up. You would, and you would learn things like, like you don't try and air freight things anymore when there's no value in them.
Yeah.
But, do you know what I mean? But you learn from mistakes, you learn from guidance, and I think because it is such a practical, it's a trade.
Yeah.
You have to apply your trade as it goes, and I think you just have to build up that level of experience.
Yeah, I done an apprenticeship where I was 1 day in college and then 4 days on site.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a godsend. I think
It's
that's so much
it's
better.
the most traditional way, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can learn actually being on the tools and actually on the job. You
Yeah.
learn so much more than being in a classroom as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Also, you do need the classroom kind of.
Yeah, you need a theory behind it. You need to learn it. I mean, there's a lot to learn as an electrician.
Yeah, because I could have gone between that or actually going to like college for like 3 years and then going into whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I chose on site as well. So if you can kind of go down that route, 100%.
Yeah, I think for people trying to change careers, it's always tough anyway, regardless of whether you're going to want to become an electrician or I don't know anything else, whether it's a trade or not, because you have to kind of come to terms with the fact you're going to have to start from scratch. The finances, you're right, is one thing. I mean, I've seen a lot of people. There's one of the chaps that rewired this building when we first moved in. He was working alongside a like 56-year-old electrician. Remember Terry?
Yeah.
And he was still doing his other job 3 days a week and working with Terry 2 days a week and trying to balance it that way.
Right, okay.
Because and then he was doing his stuff in the evenings and online courses. And I think you're just gonna, if you can afford it, but I don't think there's any replacement. Online, I think helps. I think it can speed things up to a point. And I think it makes it easier because you can do it remotely. So if you can't get into college or get into a classroom, or you need to balance it around your existing career, but I think you've got to get on site with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. It's like you're saying. I mean, if you can afford to take that pay cut and you want to go into electrics, 100% go for it.
Yeah,
I think it's a good route to go down. I love my job. And I think it's got a good balance in it. So yeah, if you can afford to do it, I say do it. But I can't really give advice on how else to do it if you can't afford it.
That's fair. I mean, just touching base on the online electrical course thing. Now, if memory serves me correctly, there's still a practical aspect you have to do in order to get the certification anyway.
So many hours, isn't there?
Yeah.
So many hours, yeah. But again, I don't know how they get evaluated. And it's probably different for different courses as well. Because you can do like a gazillion CPD courses. Do you know what I mean? And do all them online.
I thought he meant in terms of like just anything. Like say if you're doing an EV course, you can do an online one or go to...
Right, okay.
But I'm guessing so you're talking more... How to actually...
I think it's trying to get into the trade and do become an electrician from whatever the career is.
Yeah, so it goes to that thing that online is much harder to learn. You need to get on site. In my opinion.
Yeah, and great, good question.
Yeah. Next one is from Joel, and this is to you again, James. He says, "Why is being an electrician the better trade?"
Because we're not biased at all.
The trade. I think the variety, and just being out and about, working with great people. I'm not stuck in one place day in, day out, which I don't think I would like. And then I'm doing something different every single day. I'm working, I class them as friends now, obviously, the people I work with. And you should have a great relationship and you can have like a really good day in work, which
Yeah.
I think is so important. The last thing I would want is wake up and dread going into work. And I think being an electrician, it's just, you're always thinking, you're always like, I like building things, like using your hands and creating things, and there's that sense of satisfaction when a job's done as well.
Yeah.
Or especially when you find a fault. That's one of my biggest things. When you find a fault, you're buzzing. You're going home. You're like, I've just found a fault.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it depends on the person, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah,
Because I know some people that they absolutely love their job and they're a van driver because they don't have to think. They go, they do a route, they come back, they come home. I used to play basketball with a chap who did it, and he wouldn't want anything else. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I like to be challenged. So being in an industry that challenges you constantly with R&D and there's just calculations of things, you're talking about the testing side of things and like I say fault find, all these different things, it's massive, but it's also why it's one of the hardest trades to get into because there's so much to it. And of course, if you take a big ass cable and wire it wrong, someone dies. So, no one died from plastering, I don't think.
I suppose you're right. It is dependent on the person.
Yeah.
A lot. Maybe that is just me then, but it's like, so I sometimes work in factories and you're seeing people on like an assembly line basically.
Yeah.
And I just think I could not get up day in, day out to do that.
Yeah.
That would make me like really down. And do you know what I mean? And that's why I really like my job.
I'm exactly the same. But I think, again, like I say, certain people just like, they want to clock in, clock out, boom.
That's it.
And that's it.
Stress-free life.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think certain trades suit that as well. And, I'm sure there are complicated painters out there and decorators, but I don't think they are as challenged as electricians. I think plastering is an easier trade. Don't get me wrong, there are good plasterers and then there are terrible plasterers, especially ones that cover up where you want to put your sockets when you are terrible people. You don't understand the pain you cause, right? But and again, I think carpentry is quite one of my favourite trades. I don't know why I dislike plumbers.
Oh, we were going back to this again.
Yeah, I just don't like the plumbing trade. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I couldn't think of anything worse than being a plumber.
Yeah, I don't think I would choose plumber. I agree with you with carpentry. I don't think if I was an electrician, I would have done carpentry.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
'Cause, again, it's that sense of
building something.
It's building something satisfaction when you built it. That's what I've done. That kind of thing. I don't want my
plumbers
don't want my hand in a toilet.
Great, the toilet flushes again.
Yeah.
My dad was a plumber.
I know your dad was a plumber. and I'm sure he's a very good plumber. But I couldn't imagine doing it. Your dad was a plumber, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Oh dear.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, so moving on. Next question.
So this was for yourself, Will. So, do you think the standard of manufacturing has gone down in our industry?
Oh, yes.
Okay. You want to elaborate on that? Because there's another question after this as well.
Yes, I think the standard of a lot of manufacturers has dropped. I can actually prove that. But I think that's because I don't think that's necessarily a choice of those particular manufacturers. So you've got a lot of manufacturers that have come into the market over the past 10, 15 years who have no concern over quality control as such. They make it to the bare minimum standards, are completely price driven. Now, they've made inroads into the market and done a really good job in the market because we've become unbelievably price over quality as a country. And I don't think that's just our industry. I think you can see that across a lot of places, right? But I think our industry, more so than other trades, drive the value out of product quicker than anything else. Look at LED lighting. Look at circuit protection. I mean, not to harp on about it, but we talked about it before. You look at the thermal derating factors of some of the devices on the market, and that's because they're using cheap components because you don't want to pay a price. And some electricians will happily pay that price and give their customer a great product. However, they won't win the work because someone coming in behind them after price who doesn't care what they fit.
Yeah.
And like James said earlier, the person at the end doesn't know the difference anyway. They think it works, so it's not a problem. So yes, other manufacturers then had to respond. So you look at bigger names or better quality products and things like that, they've had to respond. Do I think they could have done a better job and done things quicker? Yes. Do I think there needs to be more parameters put in place to stop crap entering the market? Yes. But there's also a lot of companies out there, ourselves included, that have brought a value product to market. We're not the cheapest, but we're nowhere near the most expensive. And yet I'll put our device up against anyone in the market. Same with, I mean, again, you talk about wiring accessories. There must be about 50 different wiring accessory manufacturers now in the UK, right? And the top 25 are pretty good, right? And then you've got like some on the fringe, and then some that I wouldn't put anywhere near my house, not even absolutely close.
Can I just add to that though? From an electrician's point of view, for a standard electrician that's going into the wholesalers, they just want, say, a breaker. They don't care what brand, they don't care about anything, because if they're buying it from that shop or whatever, they believe that they're all at the same standard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, true.
So, like, I think a lot of people don't understand or don't really care.
Because I think there's a combination of the
back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, it must be safe, because obviously they wouldn't sell it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense.
That's probably what a lot of customers think as well. So what's being fitted? Oh, it must be safe. They've got it from Wales or England, so it must have hit certain requirements, so it must be safe.
Yeah. I mean, again, and we talked about it before. There's a difference between making something to a BSCN standard, okay, and getting so you can get it UKCA marked, and having things tested. And then there's also there's different standards of independent testing available. Like, you know, I could get something random and get it tested independently, and it's the criteria is like there's certain manufacturers out there with I'll keep it on circuit protection, that's what I know most of, that you look at their testing document, okay, and it's like 8 pages long. Ours is what, 300 and absolutely ridiculous. It's like a Bible, right? It's ridiculous what we have to go through to test our devices, and then they're individually tested. It's insane. And there are other manufacturers that do use the same testing criteria, but not many. And so there are companies out there still trying to put great product on the market. I do think products as a whole have become cheaper, as in quality. But I think that is also just a state of where we are, you know. But yeah, I think it's.
Do you think that kind of thing will show with like longevity over time? That's going to be something they're the better brand because that's still going, that's still lasting. Whereas the cheaper ones will start to fail, and then people. Yes, so it's like a time thing. Like Verso is, from what I know, Verso is a fairly new brand.
Yeah.
So over time, it'll become known as a good brand because of the longevity of it.
Yeah, but then there's again, without throwing mud anywhere, there are some brands out there in lots of different markets, lighting, circuit protection, and everything else in between that have been around for a very long time, who still make fairly low quality product. And I think there is just a market for that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're going to have that market's always been there. It's just been filled by different people over the years. And you are right. Normally, those companies come and go. Yeah. Normally, they go when they've had a problem.
But then they just usually get replaced by another one.
Exactly that.
So the cycle just continues.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there is a difference between having, you know, reputable manufacturing partners or, you know, being completely integrated with a factory and OEMing random import product from wherever else in the world you want to do now, India, Turkey, China, wherever. Yeah. Product continuity is what stands the test of time as well. But again, though, when you're in that market of price, you have to keep going where the product's cheaper, which is why people change their products all the time. And there's no point. You know, you talk about Hager, their backwards compatibility on their products. Wilex do it as well. I think on their Starbreaker, I think that's backwards compatible. So it doesn't matter if you bought the board 15 years ago, it still works. That shows that stands a test of time. And that shows, but you wouldn't. There's plenty of manufacturers out there now. You couldn't do it. Physically, couldn't do it.
I'm thinking it more, you know, like a phone charger. As stupid as it sounds, you can buy a phone charger from Primark and one from Apple. Yeah. Now I've bought these Primark ones before, and I won't buy them again.
No, because they just don't last.
Because they don't last. Yeah. Whereas the Apple one does last and it's good. So I'm trying to think of it as the boards like that, where these rubbish brands will just people stop using them, and people still use the good brands because they know they last.
Yeah, But
then just echoing Will's statement again, there will always be that market for that Primark because the Apple charger is what 40 pounds.
But James jumped on really well there when you said about the wholesaler, and I'd not thought of it like that before.
Okay, carry on.
Right, because even when you think about wholesalers that we work with,
yes,
okay, I would say 10% of them when we approach them because it's a new brand, ask for due diligence on the product.
Yeah.
10% of them. The rest was based on price. Okay, let's have a look at it. Yeah, it looks right. They're going to show a customer on the counter. Customers, yeah, that looks okay. Well, how much is it? And does it save me money against what I'm currently buying? Yep, boom. Right, we'll give you an order. We'll give it a go. And that's how they push it. So price is just the center of the conversation. And so long as it stays there, you're going to keep getting this fluctuation of quality, I think. But interesting, because I want to get a wholesaler on. Guys, if you're a manager, or owner or anything of a wholesaler, and you want to come on and give a wholesaler's perspective on this, I think it's a good topic actually. Just get in touch, talk up at versatilelectrical.co.uk, be good to hear from you and get you on the show.
Yeah, fair play. That question I asked, well, just in terms of manufacturing and the performance and the quality, it'd be good to get your opinion on it as well. Do you think that quality's gone down?
It depends what you buy. Yeah, you get, like you said, rubbish products, but you can also still buy good products. It's like when I rip out a lot of old distribution boards, you think that's made really well.
Yeah.
And like solid, like metal, I don't know, like solid steel, you tell it's like really heavy. It was well built. So yeah, I guess it has, but you can still buy good as well but it's cost more.
Yes, 100%.
But whether that was the same thing back in the day, though, those well-built boards, were they the costly ones? And there were still cheap ones out there then, but the good ones have lasted longer.
Fair.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and then final question. Do you think performance in terms of contractors or electricians, whatever you want to call them, has gone down in the industry?
Standard of work?
The standard of work, indeed, yeah.
I think there's two answers to this question.
Okay, hit me with the first one.
No, I think it's improved.
Okay.
I think the average electrician is far more aware now of what good quality work is. I think social media's had a lot to play about that.
Yeah.
I think people want to be proud of their work. I think a younger generation of electricians are coming in doing things, not trying to bodge things. There's a different... The mentality of trades, I think, has changed over the past 10, 15 years. And I think as a whole, the industry is getting better. From the man in the van, even to the bigger, larger kind of national contractors, I think is where you're going to find some standard drops because they're so overloaded with apprentices. There's one particular massive contractor who I know has 20 apprentices to one like manager on site. It's just mental, so there's a lot that's going to get missed there. But as a whole, I think the professional electrical industry has improved, and I think it will continue to improve. And I think, again, social media has this great way of holding people accountable for their work. People want to be at the level of someone else they see. And there's more than ever, there's a really good kind of transfer of knowledge because of socials. Yeah. People doing how-to videos, people doing this and like your content, little tips and tricks that someone would have had to probably... like we talked about earlier, find that experience on site. So I think they're getting that quicker. And, hang on, that's how you do that. That's how you make a board look really neat. Or that's what you got to think about when you're terminating this. I should be using a torque. Like all these little things, I think have helped the industry.
Can I add on to that though? The electricians on social media is just a needle in a haystack to how many electricians are out there.
Yeah,
in
I
my
agree
opinion. So what we see on Instagram is just a very small amount.
It's always the highlight reel as well, and it's always your best work.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think it's a mindset thing. People back in the day, I think, had a mindset they always wanted to give quality over the money. I feel like the world's gone where everyone's just money chasing constantly.
Okay, right.
So I feel like probably without social media, it has dropped a little bit.
Okay.
Because people are chasing money, so obviously the work fitting better boards or whatever has come down. Where back in the day, I think it was just more about quality than...
So interesting, because my brother-in-law, who's an electrician, would agree with you wholeheartedly, although he won't fit RCDs in his house, but that's a whole different argument, right? The funny thing there is I do think, you touched on it, because I use the term professional electrician. I was taught really early on, you can be a professional anything, okay? If you are a professional cleaner, you are one of the best cleaners around, like Mrs. Hinch, you can make your money, okay? But there are a lot of, let's say, unprofessionals. And a lot of them, I think, are, where you got like these EV installers or these barrier builders who do a bit of electrics or these type. I think there's a larger amount of those people in the industry than there's ever been.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's why I said there's two sides to it. Yes, I think the professional side of it, where people are taking more care of their work and this, I think that there's a lot of that. Where I don't think here is, and where I think there's a growing concern for me, is the internet makes all electrical products accessible now. Previously, obviously, it was only available through wholesalers, and get stuff at B&Q, but you're not going to buy a consumer unit from B&Q really. So it limited the access of product to tradespeople. Now, professional product is available to pretty much anyone, whether you're a builder, a plasterer, or even an accountant. You can do it. So I think the overall standard, because of lots of different things outside of the professional market, is causing the electrical standard to drop.
I see more dodgy new work than old work. A lot of the old work I come across seems to have been, maybe not be up to standard now, but it looked like it was done well. Whereas a lot, if I come across a problem, 9 times out of 10 is fairly new.
Really?
Yeah, I would say that's most issues I'm.
When you say new, do you mean like on a new build or?
Go with new colours then.
Right,
Since
okay.
the colour, I notice it with colour change. That's how I head I determine old and new, I guess. But I say a lot, 9 times out of 10, the new colours is where I find the issues. With all the older stuff seems solid. It seems.
Do you think people are just trying to rush work, or?
That's what I say. I think people are chasing more. Our generation just more about chasing that money. There's more things to buy now, and it's more like you need money. Where I read back in the older days, I guess it was more about just if you could provide.
Do you think part of that is also though there was less electricians?
Could be.
So you weren't competing for work like you are now.
Yeah. It could be. I don't know. It could be many things, couldn't it? But I'm just going from what I kind of see is.
Oh wait, and you see far more than we do. I mean, guys, let us know what you think. Do you think the standard of electrical work has dropped? And what are you finding on site when you get out there? And again, great way to test it is colours. Are you finding more faults on new colours or old colours?
It's probably a really bad way to put it in it.
Yeah, but no, it's the easiest way to determine, isn't it? Really, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Is that the end of the Q&A, guys? That is it. This is our Christmas special. I am absolutely melting in this now.
Get this off my head.
Yeah, I would do, but I think my hair is actually worse than this hat. Right. So, guys, like I said, please like, subscribe, share. We're available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and don't forget the Wiha competition as well. And